Alright guys, I just started this job today. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take my TSP and I'm going to go around with a sponge and I'm going to do some cleaning. This is just the first day. This is when we really are just kind of getting our hands dirty. I try not to get electrocuted over here. A lot of tape comes loose right there. We're just getting the woodwork. We tape not only to make a better line, we also want to guard the baseboards from the little speckles that are going to come off the roller. This IPG is going to work just fine. This is a hand masker, and this thing's awesome. You can use it with paper. You can buy rolls of 3M plastic. It takes a lot of the tedium out of all that prep work in the beginning phases. And what I do is I take a blade and I flatten it down. But down at the baseboards, I just use the tape. All the way here. So that I can paint the ceiling, I'm going to drape plastic from ceiling to floor to cover up all the cabinets, and I'm going to use this double-sided tape and see how it works. And that's why we use these new products, is because we want them to be easier. I've got my drop cloth on the floor. Some people put rosin paper down, that's good too. I will put plastic inside of my bucket. I cut it. So I line the inside of my dirty old bucket. And that's my working bucket. I'm just going to get my roller wet here by kind of getting my first couple strokes going. And then I'm going to dip it again. I'm just getting a nice even coat, but my final stroke is the one that's the most important. Now see, I'm going to come this way. And I'm going to come this way. And then I'm going to go down to that end, and all my strokes are going to come this way. Just want to get a complete coverage when you're laying it on. But for my final stroke, I'm going this way. Here's my stipple, lay it on whichever direction you want, but your final strokes, you want to go in a straight row in one direction. This side of the room, I'm headed that way. That side of the room, I'm headed this way. To get your paint back in the original can. Taking my little knife, poking a little hole. See, what I had before, I had a gap. And now, I've got a nice white line. So the reason I mix my own joint compound is because I've had a couple of mishaps with the pre-mixed stuff where it just doesn't perform as well. It'll crack. The 45, you can get it. You can get Easy Sand 5. You can get 20, 45. I think 90. That's the amount of minutes that it takes to set. So 45 minutes I can work with this stuff. And if I'm not done with it within 45 minutes, it's actually going to just harden right inside the bucket. With each successive coat, you want to use a wider knife, and that way you can fan it out bigger and you'll get a smoother application. So now I got my final coat of mud on all the holes that I patched, and that means it's time to sand all that down, smooth it out. I'm going to cover everything with plastic, because this stuff, when you sand it, it will go everywhere. I've got my sanding block. I've got my dust mask, because I don't want to breathe this stuff in. I've got my shop vac. Anytime you put mud on the walls and sand it down, it's really smooth compared to the texture of the paint around it. So what I do with the priming step is I just use one of these little weenie rollers. That just gives it enough texture that when you go over it with another coat of paint, it's going to be much closer to the texture of everything else. So you won't have this obvious smooth spot. Nice little bit of texture. Okay, so everything's primed and ready to paint. And the last step I'm going to take, a lot of people skip this, but I don't. All I'm doing is I'm scuffing up the wall. And I'm just going to give it a light pass everywhere I can. Every little bit of surface, because it helps the paint adhere better. All I'm doing is I'm just sealing the floor. I'm putting the paint on in the kitchen. And I got my cut-ins done, so I'm just going to show you similar to what I did on the ceiling. So when I lay the paint on, much like on a ceiling, I just go top to bottom, laying it on. I don't really fuss too much about the direction I'm going in. I just want to get coverage. And once I'm done applying the paint, I'm going to lay it off. And I'm just going to do a complete stroke all the way to the bottom. Places where you're underneath, a lot of times I don't tape just because you don't see it. Some people can't get that close without slopping onto the woodwork, but I've been doing this for years, guys. All right, guys, my work here is done. I got this place all put back together. Take one last look around to show you how everything turned out. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I'll see you at the next job.